everybody, this is Dave Nassie with NextLevelGuitar.com, and I am back to do another segment on Eddie Van Halen. In a previous lesson we mentioned a bunch of really cool techniques and fret tapping examples. We're going to cover some more of that, but as we know, with Eddie Van Halen, there are just so many cool stylistic things that we could talk about that you just can't leave some of this stuff out. Hey everybody, click on that link below. You've heard it, you know it. It's right there in the YouTube text box. Click on that link below. If you want a video lesson that is not available on YouTube, it comes with a coinciding ebook free, and it's got all the information that you need. Click on that YouTube text box that you see. There's a link in it, take you right there. So here we go. What I did here at the top of the video was some tap harmonics, right? And we're gonna kind of go over how to outline these techniques, how to put some rhythm to it so it's really, really cool to use, and just basically go over that approach. We'll apply some fret tapping to pentatonics in octaves, right? And then we'll also talk about some of this cool tremolo stuff that you would hear him do all the time, and some of that weird wrist motion stuff that we got. So first off, tap harmonics. So let's get into it. What I'm doing to start with is I'm fretting an E note with my left hand on the 5th string, 7th fret. Now, these harmonics that you hear, they're obviously different than your natural harmonics. We're going to tap these and execute these with the tip of our right hand and using our index finger. So the way that I always explain these to people is we're going to start with certain frets that really sound clear and clean. A lot of times these things happen best 1 octave higher than what we're fretting, right? But there's other frets that really fit in and sound cool. So let's just talk about this really quick. To start with, let's do that 1 on 12. So I'm taking my right hand, I'm fretting the note with my left hand, of course, and when I tap, I'm tapping right on the wire. This is a bit different than what we've kind of done in the past. Two things that are extremely important when talking about this. First thing is you want to hear the note materialize before you apply any vibrato to it. You're not really necessarily striking the string enough to give it so much resonance that you can manipulate it right away. You really want to hear it before we try to do any of that. And the next thing is, pretend like you're tapping something that's so hot it's going to burn your finger right out of the gate. It's the easiest way to think about it, because in that way you almost get that motion where you know you're pulling your hand away right at the last minute, enabling the note or the harmonic that we're doing to ring properly. So right there on 12. Now, in this particular case, because of where I'm fretting it here, it's going to work on 15. It's going to work on 17. It's going to work on 19. So listen to all those different harmonics that you're getting. Now, also to alternate it here with our left hand, we'll throw in our D note on the 5th string, 5th fret. So a cool way to practice this is we get some of the notes initiated or started with that E note. We go down to the D, and then we can maybe throw in a hammer on it. And it's just a real simple thing. It's classic Van Halen sound that he does. Now what I like to do is create some kind of a rhythm with it, so that way it's slightly different. And these are things that have been done by many players, let alone him who invented this thing, right? So what we have is I'm going to play this. So what I'm doing is I'm tapping my harmonic, I'm pulling off to D, I'm hammering back down to E, and then after I hear that hammered fretted note, I'm tapping again. So I get this. Pretty random with the motion of my right hand. We started with those target frets. We started with 12. We did 15, 17, and 19. But just to establish the rhythm, once you get going, this is going to be cool. And you can pretty much kind of tap anywhere. It's kind of nice when you hear ones that aren't necessarily super clear within the progression. It adds a sense of percussiveness to the riff. Now, these tap harmonics, of course, will happen on the third string very clearly as well. Another thing that's really famous for his sound, right? And what I'm doing right there with my left hand, as I hit these, I'm doing a little bit of a bend. So you get that change in pitch. A lot of muting going on right here with my right hand. A lot of muting going on right here with my right hand.
Hold on 1 second.
That's all good. Everybody, that's Miles. The nextlevelguitar.com dog.
Yeah.
Every good team has a mascot. All right, so what I'm doing while I tap these ones on the third string is I'm actually bending the note a little bit with my left hand, and it raises the pitch, and it gives a really nice kind of swinging sound to the notes. I'm focusing on 12, 14, 19, 15, 12. And these are one example, or this is one example, I should say in proper English, of what you can do on the A and on the G strings doing some of these tap harmonics. Okay, so I had mentioned before also doing some fret tapping in octaves, okay? So what we're going to do is take A minor pentatonic, first position, and we're going to basically outline this one octave higher with our right hand. So what we have going on here is I'm going to tap on 17 or my A note. Then I will do my triplet effect or my hammer-on from A to C here, so I get. Then I go to my C here and do the same thing. Next thing I'm going to do is carry myself just through the entire scale, executing it in the exact same kind of fashion. So we have. Of course, that was 17 and 19. Now within that we created a little bit of a pattern. So within your own playing, all we're really shooting for is the idea and the concept to be able to go through this. You don't necessarily have to do exactly what I'm doing. It's understanding the concept and getting some perspective on things that you've heard on some of these records for so many years. And this is really easy to incorporate into your playing. I'm kind of thinking randomly right now as I go through it, and I don't really have a set outline. I'm just kind of doing what feels natural as I go through it. Slightly different, but yet another cool Eddie Van Halen kind of thing or technique, right? We've got a couple more that we want to make sure and address and not leave out. And that's going to be this tremolo picking thing that we've seen him do for so many years in a lot of different ways. Now, let's get this right hand moving and start up our intro. Okay, so take a look at my right hand. Now, I'll be honest, this is something that I worked on for so long, and I tried a lot of different things. I tried thin picks. I've tried using thin picks. For me, what works really good are these gigantic 2mm picks that I use, courtesy of Dunlop, thank you. These picks, for me, have always just kind of made it easier. Whenever I tilt my pick at a pretty extreme angle to cross the string, there's no flexibility. It just crosses straight through. So in this case, let's talk about how we're going to do this. And I'll just hold one solid note. I'm going to hold my E note. I have it between my middle finger and my thumb. I've really got quite an angle on this thing. I'll turn a little bit to this side so you can kind of see what I'm doing. It's a very relaxed motion with my wrist. So you kind of want to think to yourself that you've got this kind of exaggerated, for lack of a better way of saying it, almost flamenco style technique going on with your right hand. So to practice this, what I would recommend is that you leave a pretty big amount of the pick exposed. You know, typically when you do these alternate picking runs, you know, you've got these tight kind of concise motions, you know. You're right up on the tip of the pick. You're tilted at an arguable 25 or 45 degree angle, right, as we go through these things. But this is slightly different. You have a lot of surface area of your pick to establish tone. Eddie Van Halen uses the thinnest picks ever when he plays. I believe they're even like a 73 or even less, believe it or not. They're like paper. So for him to execute this and to really have a lot of tone, it's crossing at a pretty high part on the pick. And so I kind of don't choke up on it as much. And I leave a lot of it exposed. And it helps me to be able to go through the motion. Now, for all intents and purposes for this E minor, I'm going to outline the scales in G. Just go up. I have E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and then I'm going to go with my E. Right at the end there, you can kind of hear a little bit of that two-string bend, okay? But very classic kind of thing. In previous lessons, what we did is we did some pentatonic tapping within our E minor pentatonic scale. So this is something you could research. You could check out what we did in that other video. You can kind of add this to it, right? All in the same respect. And what you're gonna get is just another batch of really cool Eddie Van Halen style techniques that are fun to do and put into your everyday playing. So I'm gonna play you out with some of these examples, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Hey, and I gotta say, go to the website. I'm on it, Dave's on it, right? You got Willie on it, you got everybody on that website. It's the greatest website ever. nextlevelguitar.com. All kinds of lessons. You can learn it right there in your own home, and you get to see my smiling face every single time. So thank you very much, and I'm going to go ahead and play it.